The first act of sourdough is going to be mixing your flour and water together in a jar. You're going to use equal parts filtered water and unbleached flour. Those two are very important. So you mix equal parts into a jar on day one, right? Over time, you feed it every day. Some people feed it every other day. It's completely up to you. You feed it, and over time, it builds up CO2 and gas and creates um, gases that makes it rise. It's called fermentation. Your starter has to be healthy and fermented before you can ever bake with it. Usually from start to bake time is about 30 days. I personally got my starter from one that was already established, so I didn't have to do that. You can take a little bit of a starter from somebody else that's already established and make it your own. You mix it, you feed it a few times, and then you can bake with it. Everything that you do in your house, your temperature, your house environment, how you knead the dough, everything that you do makes a difference in how your sourdough forms, if it ferments properly, all of those things. So my first loaf that I made, I did not ferment it correctly. I thought that I was supposed to put it in the fridge to cold ferment after I was done doing stretch and folds. Well, turns out it was supposed to proof on the counter for 5 hours. So it was about this thick and super flat, and it didn't come out right. But you have to do your stretch and folds, which takes about 2 hours every 30 minutes, and then you leave it on the counter for 5 to 6 hours to ferment. It should be soft and jiggly and doubled in size by the time you go to shape and put it into the fridge. We put it into the fridge so that it can do a cold ferment, and the cold ferment usually takes about 12 hours, but you can leave it in there for 48 hours if you want to. The cold ferment ferments the dough, activates the bacteria and everything in the dough to make it rise when it's in the oven, but it also forms the flavor of the sourdough. So the longer you leave it in the fridge, the more it ferments and the more sour taste that it can get. I usually only leave mine in there for 12 hours because I'm not a huge fan of the super sour ones. But if you want to, that's completely fine. I've seen people leave theirs in there for 6 days and it still works. It's completely up to you, but that's the basics of how I do it. You have to troubleshoot some things, like the temperature in your house matters when you're fermenting. If it's too cold, it will go slower, and then if you bake it after it's been fermenting and it's too slow and you may not know, it may not rise like it's supposed to. Ideally, when I make mine, I keep my house about 72. That way it ferments properly and I don't have to wait 8 hours. But to each their own. If your house is a little bit colder, you just gotta do it a little bit longer. And then everything, your environmental factors matters. How much water you put in your dough matters. Everything that you do, even like super tiny things, make a huge difference when you're making sourdough.